You are sitting at a red light. Your right foot rests on a pedal. You press it down an inch, and 3,000 pounds of steel, glass, and rubber surges forward like it weighs nothing. Have you ever actually wondered what just happened? Not the dashboard lights, not the speedometer. The part where your ankle motion becomes forward thrust. Most people never ask. They just drive. The answer lives inside a metal block the size of a carry-on suitcase. Beneath your hood, bolted to the frame, sitting in oil and coolant, breathing air and drinking gasoline. It does not think, it does not feel. It simply repeats one violent, precise cycle thousands of times per minute. And every time you press that pedal, you are not asking it to go faster. You are letting it breathe deeper. The story begins in 1876. A German engineer named Nikolaus Otto stood in a workshop in Cologne, surrounded by the smell of gas and machine oil. He had built something that had never worked before, an engine that ran on 4 distinct strokes instead of 2. Intake, compression, power, exhaust. 4 strokes, 1 cycle. The world still runs on his rhythm. Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach worked beside him. Karl Benz, 200 miles away in Mannheim, was building his own. They did not know each other well, but they all knew the same problem: how to turn a controlled explosion into a rotating crankshaft without shaking the machine apart. Your engine solves that problem every second it runs. Look inside one cylinder. A piston, a cylinder of aluminum alloy, lighter than a beer can but stronger than the steel around it, slides up and down inside a precisely honed bore. At the top, 2 valves. One lets air and fuel in, one lets burnt gas out. At the bottom, a connecting rod joins the piston to the crankshaft. The crankshaft turns the up-down into round and round. That is the entire mechanical vocabulary. Up, down, open, close, spin. But the timing is where the magic lives. Stroke 1. The intake valve opens. The piston drops. A vacuum forms. Air rushes in through the throttle body, past the butterfly valve your right foot controls, down the intake manifold, through the intake port, past the valve, into the cylinder. At the same moment, a fuel injector sprays a fine mist of gasoline into that air. 14 parts air to 1 part fuel, by weight, not volume. The engine's computer calculates this 40 times per second. The mixture fills the cylinder like breath-filling lungs. Stroke 2. The intake valve slams shut. The piston rises. It compresses that air-fuel mixture into a space the size of a shot glass. The pressure climbs to 200 pounds per square inch. The temperature hits 600 degrees Fahrenheit. The mixture wants to explode. It does not. Not yet. Stroke 3. The spark plug fires. A plasma kernel the size of a pinhead bridges the gap. The flame front expands outward at 50 feet per second. It consumes the mixture in 2 milliseconds. Pressure spikes to 1,000 psi. The piston is driven down with the force of a sledgehammer. This is the only stroke that makes power. The other 3 are just setup. Stroke 4. The exhaust valve opens. The piston rises again. It pushes the burnt gas out past the valve, down the exhaust manifold, through the catalytic converter, out the tailpipe. The cylinder is empty. The cycle begins again. At idle, this happens 12 times per second per cylinder. At highway speed, 50 times per second. A 4-cylinder engine fires 200 times per second. Each explosion is controlled. Each stroke is timed to within a fraction of a degree. The camshaft, the crankshaft, the valves, the injectors, the spark, all synchronized by a timing chain or belt that never stretches, never slips, never asks for a raise. And your right foot? It controls exactly one thing: the throttle plate, a butterfly valve in the intake. When you press the pedal, that plate opens wider. More air enters. The computer sees the airflow, calculates the fuel, squirts more gasoline. And your right foot? It controls exactly one thing: the throttle plate, a butterfly valve in the intake. When you press the pedal, that plate opens wider. More air enters. The computer sees the airflow, calculates the fuel, squirts more gasoline. The explosions get bigger. The piston hits harder. The crankshaft spins faster. The car accelerates. You are not telling the engine to go faster. You are telling it how much air it deserves. This is why a cold engine runs rough. The fuel does not vaporize well. The computer dumps extra gasoline to compensate. The catalytic converter has not lit off yet. The oil is thick as honey. The clearances are tight. The engine is fighting physics. Give it 30 seconds. The heat spreads, the oil slows, the clearances settle, the rhythm smooths out. This is why your engine has a red line, not because something will melt, because the valves cannot close fast enough. At 6,000 RPM, the intake valve opens and closes 50 times per second. The valve spring, a simple coil of steel wire, must accelerate the valve from 0 to 40 miles per hour and back to 0 in 4 milliseconds, 50 times per second. Eventually, the spring loses the argument. The valve floats. The piston kisses the valve. The engine eats itself. This is why oil matters. Not just any oil, the right viscosity, the right additives. The bearings in your crankshaft ride on a film of oil 3 microns thick, 3/1,000,000th of a meter, thinner than a human hair. If that film breaks, metal touches metal. The bearing spins in its saddle. The crankshaft scores. The engine dies in seconds. Nikolaus Otto died in 1891. He never saw a highway. He never felt a turbocharger spool. He never watched a tachometer sweep past 7,000. But every time you merge onto a freeway, every time you overtake on a 2-lane road, every time you feel that surge when the light turns green, you are using his 4 strokes. Intake, compression, power, exhaust. The rhythm that built the modern world. Karl Benz died in 1929. He lived long enough to see his motor wagon become the automobile, to see Daimler and Maybach's engines power the first trucks, the first buses, the first race cars. He saw the world shrink because his machine made distance irrelevant. Gottlieb Daimler died in 1900. His last words were about the future. He said the automobile would change everything. He was right. You are sitting at a red light. Your right foot rests on a pedal. You press it down an inch, and 3,000 pounds of steel, glass, and rubber surges forward like it weighs nothing. Now you know why. The explosions are smaller than a thimble. The tolerances are tighter than a secret. The rhythm is older than your great-grandparents. But the feeling, that surge, that freedom, that impossible lightness, that is yours. Every time, every drive, every press.